So this week's What to See with Sarah G, we are going to be exploring St. Louis, Missouri. I've been here a lot. My brother lives in St. Louis. I think it's a very underrated town in terms of smaller cities to visit in the United States. And Adam lived in St. Louis while he was going to law school. So you have some insight in things to do or not to do in St. Louis. So
That's
this will be
right. That's
fun.
right. Yep.
Okay, great. So we'll start with a little bit of a backstory on St. Louis. It's commonly referred to as the gateway to the West because it was the famed jumping off point for the Louisiana Purchase expedition of Lewis and Clark. And there's actually a town right outside of St. Louis called St. Charles. And it's apparently the official spot that has a sign and everything stating Lewis and Clark. So if you're really into that, go to St. Charles. It's a suburb right outside of St. Louis. Anyways, the city started with a lot of French influence and in the 1800s gained Irish and German. Hang on, let me say that again. Anyways, the city started with a lot of French influence and in the 1800s gained Irish and German immigrants who laid roots in the city. Which, fun fact, there are 79 different neighborhoods throughout St. Louis. And in some, you can actually really tell the influence of the different cultures. Like there's one neighborhood called The Hill, which is the Italian area. And it's a pretty cool place to just drive around and see
Oh yeah,
how
there's like
different.
Virgin Mary statues sitting outside every house. They all have the like little
That's so
Italian
true.
flags.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
funny. No, it is very Italian. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, outside of the history of the city, there is one monument that really drives the point home of the gateway to the West, and that is the St. Louis Arch that is right next to the Mississippi River. And with the city and the arch, they actually put a lot of building code up, so you can't build any structure taller than the arch. So as you're driving throughout the city, you'll see the arch of like, hey, that's the arch. Hey, that's maybe that's just what my brother does, but you can see it throughout many parts of the city, which I also think is pretty cool. And as far as if you should visit the arch, because it's like the main attraction, yes, you should. You can actually take an elevator up to the top. Adam, have you done this?
Fuck no.
Have you been up? I should have figured you haven't been.
Number one, I don't do touristy shit, and secondly, I'm not getting into some little small elevator that was built in what 19 whatever to go to the top of a no. Fuck no.
Fun fact, did you know, this is just me remembering from the tour, because OSHA standards didn't exist during that time, the photos they have of them building the arch, I'm like, I'm surprised nobody died building this because there was people are just hanging from, ropes and stuff, putting the arch together. Anyways, you can definitely take the elevator to get up. I would just be a little cautious if you're claustrophobic because it's kind of an egg-shaped elevator that has 4 seats inside and you might have to like hunch over. But if you're there and you have some free time, worth checking out. Now, let's start with police. What?
Say you saying that you'd have to hunch over too. Like it's like, like getting in
I
your
mean, yeah.
car. Like if you think it's small, then I can only imagine. Yeah, there's no way I would ever do it.
Fair enough. Well, let's move on to places to eat. I have a lot of favorite spots, and then there's a few more popular spots that I think are okay, but I'm still going to mention those as well. And I'm no food critic, but these are just my top picks. First up is the most Midwestern thing you'll ever hear me talk about, and that is a place called Twisted Ranch. Um, you guessed it, ranch. That's a Midwestern thing. They offer 33 homemade ranch sauces, and you can order a sampler of ranch sauces that come with 13 different flavors and a basket of fries. So when you're there, order that and then order a meal that comes with a side of fries so you can just have all the fries to dip in your ranch. It's a good time. I mean, like it's the. I'm sad when I don't go there when I'm in St. Louis.
I'm sad that I've never been there because I definitely that. I mean, I would just want to forget the fries or stuff. Can you just spoon the
Just
sauces and just eat
sip
them?
the.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Do
like little
shots.
sauce. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
do shots of it. Yeah. The next spot to check out is Mission
yeah.
Taco Joint. At certain times, they have a happy hour and an after 10 p.m. menu that offers $2 tacos and $2 tequila shots. I went here for a bachelorette party. It was a good call. So even if you're not there during those times where they have those $2 deals, it's a good place for tacos, burritos, alcoholic beverages, all of that. And then there's also the Broadway Oyster Bar, which is a fun New Orleans style restaurant serving all of the Cajun food you can imagine. They have nightly music and a really cool outdoor patio too that kind of feels like you're not in the, I don't know, it just feels more tropical on the patio, which is fun. And then I've never been to this spot, but Ted Drew's frozen custard, there's always a line every time I've been outside of the place. I've just never had it. and there's a vending machine in the airport, so it must be good, I guess. Have you been there?
Yeah, well, there's several locations, but yeah, I went to one. It was like it was good, like, but I'm also like, ice cream is custard is ice cream. Like to me, there's not really that. They're not that
Okay.
different. I mean, so I understand why people like it, but like I put enough toppings in there, anyways. It does. You could give me anything, and I'd eat it and say it was good. So
All right. Verdict, don't go there from don't bother. And then there's a couple other popular spots. There's Emo's Pizza. It's all over St. Louis as well. I hear it's just mediocre pizza, so it's a thing, but whatever. And then St. Louis is also famed for toasted ravioli, which I just found out pretty recently. I've had it. I just think it's okay. I'm not dying to have it, but I guess if you go to an Italian restaurant and they have it, order it and see if you like it.
well, it's like an appetizer you can get pretty much at every restaurant, I think, because it's their specialty. It's like when you get into like Wisconsin and they have like cheese curds as their thing, so every place has a variety of cheese curds. Every place has like different variety of toasted ravioli and everything like that. And yeah, it's like it's good, but it's also weird. Like
Yeah.
like they're worth trying, I would say.
I didn't know they were on every menu. I guess I just haven't been looking
And
for it.
I
I've
mean,
been
not
to it.
every menu, but like it's one of those things that like most places have some type of appetizer version of toasted ravioli that I remember.
Okay, well, give it a shot for food wise. That's that. Let's move on to places to visit. My absolute favorite outside of seeing the St. Louis Arch and going up in the elevator is the City Museum. It's a really fun place. Yes, there's a lot of kids there, but it's also fun for adults. It's actually built on the grounds of an old shoe factory, and it has 4 floors and a rooftop area that's filled with art installations that you can climb, crawl, and slide on. And yes, I said slide. There is a 10-story slide. I think there's two 10-story slides in the building. And it's just one of my favorite spots. Bring tennis shoes and something that you're going to sweat in, because you'll get lost crawling in some of the areas. It's a blast. It's like $20 for a ticket, but totally worth it. And pretty unique to the city. Next is the St. Louis Zoo. I know it's a zoo and they have zoos in other cities, but this one is massive and it's free admission. So if you're there and you have some time to kill, it's a really fun spot to just go and enjoy everything that they have set up there. Just depending on where you park, that might not be free, but it's a fun free activity in the city. And then on a nice day, visit the Missouri Botanical Garden. They actually have a 4.8-star rating with almost 13,000 reviews on Google. And it has lots of events that go on through each season. Really, you guessed it, plants everywhere. Really pretty plants and, I don't know, greenhouses and things like that on 78 acres that you can enjoy. And then St. Louis is also known for beer because of Anheuser-Busch. So if you're there, you gotta go get the tour of the facility, see the Clydesdales, and have a taste test. After your tour, you can also get a free voucher for a beer. And then right next to Anheuser-Busch, not far anyways, is Ballpark Village. If you're there during the spring, summer, you can catch a St. Louis Cardinals baseball game. And then as far as other neighborhoods to check out, Soulard is a really cool area. Roy and I always talk about how they have the best farmers market that we've ever been to. They have food, drinks, local vendors, live music, a lot of just outdoor space that I think it's a really cool spot. And then Central West End is another area of town that's really nice to walk around and check out all the local shops. And across from Central West End is Forest Park, which has over 1,300 acres of just open park. And there's a really cool free museum that's right there and a little lake area. They just have a lot of nice free activities you can do in St. Louis. So, yeah. And then places to avoid in St. Louis. Don't get confused, because both Adam and I, well, you don't really have a horror story, do you?
Not on my
Of
own,
this?
no,
No.
no.
Well, just don't go to East St. Louis. It sounds like it's part of St. Louis. It's in Illinois and it's very unsafe. I was driving from Nashville to St. Louis, and I was like, oh, I'm running low on gas. I'll just stop. My brother told me not to, but I was like, it's just it's a gas station off the side of the road. Like, how bad could it be? No, it was pretty bad. Like, I was very scared. It was not a good feeling. So
Yeah.
don't stop in East St. Louis. Just don't.
East St. Louis is it's to be like if you drive through in the middle of the day, you're like you'll see it and it'll be like wow, when I can't like it looks like a town that is constantly like at war. It's
It's like a
crazy.
zombie wars. Like I don't. It
Um,
just gives me like the zombie war zone vibes of just like a lot of like hard
oh
looking
yeah,
buildings and just it looks rough.
downtown like there's just cars like with no wheels just sitting in like at the the street parking that's supposed to be monitored but nobody monitors it. All the meters are broken down, so there's no parking meters. And I remember my ex-wife worked for legal aid for summer, and so she would go over there during the day and would work. And one day she came out and she had parked on the curb, like in front of her building, and her entire car was like her back two wheels were up on the curb. So like someone had just basically driven into her car hard enough to knock the rear half of her car up onto the curb, and then just driven off, and no problem. And it was yeah, that was crazy. And then a good friend of mine from law school could never sleep at night, and the liquor stores were closed in St. Louis, so he would actually drive over to East St. Louis at like 3 in the morning with
Not safe.
one of the liquor stores open, and he is just this big dumb white guy from Kentucky to get a bottle of Jim Beam. And I was like, I'm impressed. He goes, yeah, I do that all the time. I think they know me now. And I was like, that is not a good thing.
Yeah, no. So just don't stop to get gas in East St. Louis. Just drive on past into
Yeah.
St. Louis. That's my recommendation.
And then the only things that I would talk about too in St. Louis would be like the neighborhoods are really cool to visit. There's a transportation museum that I really like. It's a bunch of old trains that was really cool. That's in the heart of St. Louis. And of course the campuses, there's a bunch of schools there that are all kind of, they're very St. Louis University has a really cool campus, and so does Washington University. They're kind of fun to go through. And then nearby there is the place called Cahokia Mounds, which is kind of a cool little burial thing in Illinois. It's just over the border. That was fun. But all the restaurants, it's funny. I didn't go to Sarah and I were talking about this. I didn't go to when I was there. We just picked chain restaurants for some reason. We always went to
Outback.
Outback. We went to Outback because we stole a knife every time we went. So I still have the full collection here, 20 something years later of steak knives. But we like the steak knives. But we go to Outback all the time, and then we would go to like California Pizza Kitchen, or go to when I went somewhere fancy, went to like Ruth's Chris. And I was telling Sarah this story, but I remember I was like 21, and Amy and I were going to go out to, we were there. They had the barrister's ball, which is like the law school prom that you do. And so we dressed up. We went out to a fancy dinner, and it was either at Ruth's Chris or at like the steak restaurant inside the Marriott right in downtown that was really fancy. And I remember I was like, yeah, I was 21. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. But they come over and we to order, and I'm like, I think I'd like the filet mignon. What does it come with? And the waiter's like, well, sir, it's a la carte. And I say, oh, I understand. But so what does that come with? And then he had to be like, sir, a la carte means that you just purchase each individual item separately. And I felt like such a dumbass, and I had no idea. It was so embarrassing, and I will never forget that, obviously. uh
Sir.
yeah, it's just the way he did it too. He was like such a douchebag about it as well. And I just had no concept of what a la carte meant, because I'd never been to a restaurant where you didn't, it was like it was a steak that came with things. I went to Outback all the time, where it was like, you get a steak, you get a salad, you get a potato, like that was my experience. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, so that's St. Louis, and I don't have anything much else to add to it. I kind of think if I went back now that I'm a little bit more social, that I probably have some different experiences to suggest as well, but I don't.
Yeah. All I can say about Cahokia Mounds is there's a rest station not far from that. And Roy took a shit in that rest stop and was like, I left my Cahokia Mound. Never been
Oh
there,
my
but
god.
when you said that, I was like, oh, that's my only
I
memory
love
of
that
that.
that's your memory of that. Well, that was What to See with Sarah G. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how to make friends.